Saurav Gupta, my colleague, is on the line. Saurav, we have live visuals and we've just seen the first of those 30 firemen has actually been rescued, or at least he's on that chopper which is now being flown off. Can you confirm that? You're on the ground there.
That's right, that's right. The chopper has just, flown over the building. In fact, you can see the planes also on the floors that are right below the two floors that are intact. And of course, chopper is being used now, called in to actually rescue the firemen who are stuck on top. In fact, there's now another chopper flying in, as you can see in these pictures. And these choppers, the bigger ones, seem to be the defense choppers. The one that is now flying in over the building, circling the building. So obviously what happened was, when this fire was being controlled, the firemen adopted a top-down approach, which is usually the approach that firemen take to control any blaze. In fact, and then after that, once they managed to control it on the top floors, the fire spread to the bottom floors. And after that, what happened was that the fire just continued spreading. So while they had thought they managed to bring it under control, it surged once again because of the wind. And after that, the firemen who had got onto the building to try and fight the blaze were actually trapped inside. In fact, you can see the firemen on the top of the building, and of course the helicopters now moving in to try and actually rescue these firemen from on top of the building. And you can see the two floors that are just above the top floors are completely gutted. In fact, the flames also visible from here on the ground. In fact, you can see that this has been a pretty long operation, unusually long for a fire that one thought was under control in the morning itself. And in fact, that's what the impression that the fire department gave as well. But now there are questions over whether the fire department's equipment has let it down and whether there are enough hydraulic lifts for a city like Mumbai. Now we can see yet again another chopper moving in. This from the ground seems to be a defense chopper. In fact, I think it is an army chopper that's moving in. And right now, it's just over the building. And again, of course, these choppers are being used in the rescue operations. Remember, the blaze is on the top floor, so the helicopters have been called in. In fact, now the fire actually not as big as it was earlier, but in fact, one can see that perhaps the only way to fight this blaze now is through the aerial route, and that's what's happening. Luckily, and one must note, is that all the civilians were actually rescued from the building. And in fact, this I can confirm to you from the ground now is an army chopper actually. By the markings, it can be seen that the army chopper that's circling the building right now, and of course helping in the firefighting operations. But clearly the important question now is Mumbai Fire Department equipped to tackle blazes in high-rises like these? Are the hydraulic lifts that are in possession of the Mumbai Fire Department enough? Because remember, the number of skyscrapers in Mumbai are only growing. Mumbai is a city that's extremely congested.
All right, Saurav, I think as of now, what we're seeing right now is an amazing and extremely difficult rescue operation, because you have 30 men, firefighters, stuck on a roof. They have to be taken out. They have to be rescued by these choppers. It's not an easy operation considering how windy it is today. Can you tell us how many choppers, would we know yet how many choppers are currently working? Because one person being taken out at a time per chopper could take a while, and according to the live visuals that we're seeing, the fire is still burning on that 20th floor.
Well, one can still see the flames on the 20th floor. That's true. In fact, that is why it seems that there are, at least I have seen two choppers now trying to control the blaze, trying to help in controlling the blaze. And of course, the fire department trying to actually get those firemen out. That's more important now, given that this building has no civilians inside. Of course, the fire department has managed to rescue civilians from the building. The priority for the fire department now is actually to get those firemen who are in the building, get them out. And one can see that the top floors of the building are completely burned. And of course, it is an operation that's extremely, extremely difficult for the fire department. And of course, that is why it is taking time for the fire department to actually try and control the blaze on the topmost floors.
Saurav, We do have some live pictures, but since you're on the ground, can you just give us a rough estimation of how many choppers there are, one, and how much time it takes for this chopper, once they've picked up these firemen one at a time, to go and drop them off to safety and then come back to the site on top of this building that's on fire on the top 2 floors to pick up the next person?
Well, I've seen myself at least 2 choppers, one of them being the big army choppers that have been called in, and one, of course, I thought was a normal chopper. But one can see, of course, I beg your pardon, that was a Navy chopper. And, of course, they are lifting people one by one and rescuing them. So, of course, it will take some time for them to rescue all of them. But luckily, right now, the blaze isn't that big. The blaze seems to be under control, but clearly it is an extremely windy day, and that's one of the things. Today, Mumbai has been unusually windy. In fact, the weather since the morning has been windy, and that's what's been hampering rescue efforts, or sort of has actually prevented the fire from being doused. And that is what, then, of course, the questions, of course, now coming in of whether there are enough hydraulic lifts to tackle blazes and skyscrapers like this. And that is the reason why. Now we have seen these army choppers being called in for the rescue operations.